Yo, yo, everybody. It's your boy Kenny in the house. And today we're not going to have any camera, unfortunately. We are in a different room area trying to record, so it's bad quality. So you'll just have to deal with my beautiful voice. But, do I have to say it? Another week, another crazy amount of injuries again. Uh, every week there's something. We just had the NFL trade deadline as well, and we also had a trade in our fantasy league too. So a lot to cover here this week, but we have hit the double-digit weeks. We are in week 10 now. So we only have 10, 11, 12, 13, 5 more weeks in the regular fantasy season. This is crunch time. This is, especially how close the standings are. We'll take a look at the standings. Looking over on the east side here, the hottest team right now, Nick, is 6-3, winners of 5 in a row, is right up there with Corey at 6-3. And then Dan's not far right behind him. Actually, this whole division is up for grabs, if you truly think about it. So, this division is getting hot. This is definitely the more competitive division. So this is going to be a very important week for, especially Shane and Vinny being 2 games back, if they want that top spot. But, as far as making it into the playoffs, the top 4, they're doing well. So, this should be definitely a really interesting week. And moving on over to the west side here, I am on top, and then right below me is the Bubble Bass. At 5-4, Tybo with 4-5. That's not Tybo. Tybo's 3-6. Yvonne sneakily making his way up. He's at 4-5, winners of I believe it's 3 in a row now. So he is his team is definitely getting hot, and he definitely had a week. That's for sure. We'll talk about that. And then Tybo at 3-6, and Ant down here at 2-7. Ant being 2-7, it's gonna be very tough for him. He would have to win out essentially, and require a lot of help from other people. So it's a little tough for Ant right now with that 2% chance. But you know what? There have been crazier things that have happened. So yeah, these are the standings at the moment here. And it's that east side is very competitive right now. But still, it's still anybody's game. All right, so let's first take a look at some of the recent activity here. We had our first trade. Not our first, one of our trades here. I had traded Kyron for Nico Collins. I needed a wide receiver after trading Pickens, and Shay needed a running back after Jacory wanted to... Yeah, I'm calling him Jacory, not Bill. He doesn't deserve Bill. After Jacory wants to be Jacory. So, it was a pretty even trade, Nico for Kyron. And I really was annoyed at Kyron because for some reason, the Rams at the 1-yard line just don't like to give him the ball. I don't understand. Stafford, I don't know what their mind is, but I don't know what they're thinking. So he annoyed me, and I'm very happy I got rid of him. And hopefully, this will work out for both of us. So I think it was pretty even. So now I got my wide receiver 1, and Shane has a good RB 1 or 2. If you want to, Javante is 1 or 2. I'm not sure, but. Yeah, so that was our trade. And then taking a look at our waivers, we had a lot of waiver activity this week. So let's start right here with Ant picking up Colston Loveland and dropping Hawkinson. Loveland had a big game last week with 29 points. He's definitely someone to pick up, I would say, because with the schedule coming up too, it'll probably be a little bit of a throw heavy game. So I like the pickup. He dropped Hawkinson, which I don't blame him. He's had a rough year, Hawkinson. Vaughn picked up R.J. Harvey, which honestly, it's a sneaky pickup because look at his last few games, 16, 24. They've given him the ball in the red zone, so you know they're viewing Dobbins. This is kind of like a Monty Gibbs situation where I really think that they're giving Dobbins the ball. He's the RB1, but they're giving Harvey like he's the explosive guy, and he'll get the touches towards the red zone. He's had some pretty big plays lately, and yeah, it's paid off. So that's what we all expected him to come in and be the RB1 for the Broncos, but um, it seems like they like Dobbins better. So we'll see what happens. But interesting pickup. It looks like Vinny picked up Tank Bigsby, probably because Saquon's questionable. So just as just in case. And then an interesting pickup who I was actually thinking about picking up myself too was the Bubble Bass BMAC picked up Rashid Shaheed, who just going NFL trade just got traded to Seattle. So this is a deep threat for Darnold now. You know, and how much of an impact will that have on JSN? I could tell you zero, because with Cooper Cup there, Cooper Cup hasn't done anything. So this might, if they're picking up Rashid Shaheed, my thoughts is that Cup's injury is worse than we probably expected. So might as well get some help. He's a great player too, great deep threat. He's had some breakout games with the Saints. So I like the pickup from the Saints. Corey here picked up J.J. McCarthy. He needed a quarterback, and he picked up J.J. In all the games that J.J.'s played here, this one he got hurt in, but he's had some pretty good fantasy outputs. He's thrown an interception in each one of them. So we'll see. But going up against Baltimore's defense, that's a pretty solid pickup. We'll see what he could do. I had went ahead and picked up. I had kept Isaiah Davis just in case Brees Hall would have been traded, but he didn't. So I picked up Trey Tucker, who now with the trade of Jacoby Myers has went to Jacksonville. This makes Trey Tucker the wide receiver one, quote unquote, even though it's Brock Bowers' show. So just in case something happens. Unfortunately, the injury to Jaden Daniels, that was one of the big injuries this week. Oh, his arm, it was like turned like in half, like the opposite way. Jaden's out for the season, unfortunately. That is rough. He's been pretty much injured this whole year. Knee injury. Look at that. He was kept out most of the year. Unfortunately for Jaden Daniels. With Dak on a bye, Dan picked up Brock Purdy. And that's good if Brock Purdy comes back. That'll help that San Francisco offense for sure. Yeah. So those were the pickups. A lot of waiver activity, trades. So, yeah, that it was a good waiver pickup week this week for sure. So let's take a look at last week's. We'll start with the blowout of the week, and rightfully so. And I got shit on. I was just gonna say that. 61, a blowout of the week. Trayvon, with now beating my 179, Trayvon has 181. So he right now has the most points scored in a game for us this season. Whew, his guys went off. Starting with really the most important, Brock Bowers, 43.3. He's back. After rough start to the season here, he exploded with 13 targets, 12 catches. 12 catches, 13 targets, 127 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Whew, yeah, he absolutely went off. And that's why you drafted him early, because you trusted in him. It was great to see that what I like about this is that Trayvon stuck through it, stuck through the fire, because it was a rough season to start for Jamar Chase and Chase Brown. Very very rough seasons to start. But he went through it. He kept through it. Didn't trade them. Didn't sell. Didn't sell low, or nobody bought low. He kept through it, and it paid off. And it's paying off for him now, with him now being on, I think it's like a 3-game win streak he's on now or something. With Rashee Rice, being out for 6 games, so he knew what was coming. I think he knew that I just have to kind of get through this, and it's going to pay off for me, and it's been paying off. Chase Brown, is Chase Brown back? We already know Jamar Chase is absolutely back. I mean, he's number one wide receiver in fantasy. This is, if all these players play up to their potential, this could be a sneaky playoff team. I'm just gonna say that right now. Caleb absolutely cooked with 38. Anybody that plays Dallas, you're gonna drop 20 or more. So Marvin Harrison, best game probably of his career, 22. So it was a really, just everyone just popped off for high scoring games, like for Trayvon. So just watch out when you play against Trayvon, because this is a team that if they play up to their potential, they have a really good shot of making it through the playoffs. But yeah, great win, Trayvon. Honestly, nothing I can do. You just shit on me. Just gonna be honest. You did it. And moving on over to my side here, rough game. Jonathan Taylor's worst game. 7 fantasy points. That whole team, the Colts team, just did not look like the Colts team. Daniel Jones, yeah, I'm calling him Daniel Jones because he wasn't playing like Indiana Jones. I'll tell you that. That was a rough one. Yeah, it was a rough one for really my guys. Kyle Monangai started. He kind of reminds me of Rico Dowdle. He actually went off. He had 176 yards, against Cincinnati, but still, that's something good to watch. Sam Darnold's been playing very well. If you look at his last few games here, 27, 20, and 27. Rough game against Houston, but so that's a sneaky QB, and yeah. But other than that, I'm really hoping George Kittle. He's still going to be again. They used him as a blocker, which doesn't make sense. I mean, they won the game, but hopefully with Brock Purdy coming back, that's going to change. They'll use him now as a receiver because they're going to have to use him as a receiver. Yeah. But it was overall a little underwhelming of a performance for my team, but you know what? If I was able to be in a history game, I don't mind losing. So great win, Trayvon. Congratulations. And yeah, good luck next week. Alright, moving on over to the nail biter of the week, which was Vinny taking on Tybo, and Vinny takes the 1.4, the 1.4 point win. I remember it came down to Zach Charbonnet. All he needed was like 4 points or something, and he just got it, 5.6. So there was a time where Tybo could have won this, and he still had Charbonnet. Yeah, that was really funny. But Vinny picking up the win on Tybo here. Starting off, I mean, just McCaffrey. Every week it's the same thing, It's on repeat with this guy. Last week against Houston was probably it was literally his worst week. But every other week, man, this guy is truly. He's just he is fantasy god. But how about Drake London though? Again, another Drake London masterclass here. 3 touchdowns, 9 catches, 14 yards. 14 targets, 118 yards. They looked his way plenty. Michael Penix did. They just lost New England by one. I think it was really they could have went to overtime, but the kicker missed the extra point, so that was rough. Um, and speaking of Drake May, he's definitely in the MVP conversation right now. Um, he's had 2,200 yards, 17 touchdowns, four picks. He's definitely up there. He's playing phenomenal. And this was with Saquon on a bye, Garrett was on a bye, Dallas Goedert, so a very big win for Vinny. And his defense gave him -1, which I just don't think he just changed it. Okay, that's okay. And then moving on over to Tybo's side here. Yeah, he definitely was hurt by the buys as well. I mean, injuries. Mike Evans out for the year. Rashad White is going to be no longer Rashad White because guess who's coming back this week? Bucky. So, it looks like Aaron Jones will be the guy going forward, and he's also questionable. So we'll see what happens. See, Tybo might have to make some moves here. But great to see Laporta. He did the two tight end strat, very nice, and it paid off for him actually. Andrews with 16, Laporta with 21. And yeah, I mean he did pretty much the best he could. Dropped 131 points, so yeah. So overall, what a close matchup. Vinny sneaking in with the win. I pretty much think he stole that win. But yeah, good luck, gentlemen. All right, moving on over to our next matchup here. Let's talk about Nick's and Corey's. This is I would probably say the matchup of the week here, just because now they're both tied. It's all about points now. So and another big injury here. Start over with Nick's side here. Tucker Kraft. He was having a phenomenal season. Tore his ACL. So that is very unfortunate for Tucker. He was having, last game he put up historic numbers for himself, and then he tears his ACL the next game. So, it's truly unfortunate, but that's again another big injury that happened. So he will need to definitely replace his tight end. He's got Harold Fannin, so I'm sure he'll probably use him. But looking over here, and jeez, just keeps on going. JSN, I mean, you want to talk about like fantasy MVPs? I mean, 4th round pick. I bet you JSN next year will probably go. He's obviously going to go 1st round. So fantasy MVP, that right there is. Whew, you have to give it to JSN because McCaffrey's won all the fantasy MVPs. But if you think about it, like McCaffrey was a 1st round projected pick, JSN wasn't, and JSN's putting up some numbers, and I've even picked up a card of his actually. So yeah, it's phenomenal. Justin Herbert and the Chargers, doing. Justin Herbert is he's been on fire. Like lowest scoring with fantasy total has been 12. He has all the pieces for it. I mean, he's got the trio of with Keenan Allen the only reason last year that he was struggling. That's so funny. Yeah, he brings Keenan Allen back and look what he's doing. So yeah, overall though, I do like Nick's team, and I think looking playoffs. He's red hot right now. He has the perfect momentum. So if he continues on winning, like if he wins out and goes on like a 10-game win streak or something, like you don't want to play him in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that was a good showing by Nick's squad here. But unfortunately, the Tucker Kraft. So. You win some, you lose some. Moving on over to Corey's side here. I mean, I don't know what Mahomes was doing. That was a rough game. 10 points. His worst game against Buffalo too. So Buffalo. Josh Allen is loving this. Yeah. But he'll bounce back. It's Mahomes, still fantasy QB number one. So, and they finally gave the keys to Rico Dowdle. So I think they handed him, and he performed 28 fantasy points. Um, he is another 130 point, 130 yard game against Green Bay, too. Green Bay's defense. So you got to feed Dowdle, and it makes me wish that we didn't drop him. The Cowboys, but 28 points. I'm very happy that they finally gave him the shot to be number one. Stop sharing reps with Chuba. It's Dowdle season. But I thought they would have probably tried to trade Chuba to try to get some, like draft picks or something like that. But no, they're keeping him. So, but yeah, no, Rico, good for him. He's a good player, great player, and keep feeding Rico. And what do you know? Welcome back, Puka Nacua. He did get hurt a little bit, I believe, towards the end of this game. Skin on the rib, but the Rams remain optimistic that the wideout won't miss this anytime. So he had a rib injury. Still put up 22 points. So, I think he'll be okay probably for next game. So we will see what happens there. And Adona, Noah Dunze, no problem. I mean, well, no, it is a problem. I just realized he lost. Wow. Had to throw some comedic effect in there, Yeah, Roma Dunze dropping a donut in a high-scoring game. 47-42, and a Dunze gets a donut. He was targeted 3 times, but it was the DJ Moore game. So that's unfortunate, because if Adunze put up a decent showing, would have been good. But he was affected by the buys, because, Breece Hall was on a buy. So, that's why Nick Chubb with three points kind of ruined it for him. But overall, great win, Nick. Keep on winning. And, I think I'll be seeing you again soon. All right. Moving on over to our next matchup, we have Dan take it on BMAC, another pretty important matchup. Another struggle for the Bubble Bass, left to under 100 points again. This was a very poor showing from Jahmyr Gibbs. I've come to the realization, the difference between last year and this year. And so if you look at it last year, right? Monty was the lead back, right? When I say lead back, he had the 3 he had the bulk of the carries, he was the guy, and then they would give Gibbs for those explosion carries, you know what I mean? They've seemed to, and then when they were doing that, Gibbs was RB4, Monty was RB9. Flip it around now. Now they made Gibbs the primary back. Monty has that change of pace. Gibbs is RB8. Monty's RB 20 or 30 something. So if you notice, there is quite a bit of a difference. Does losing Ben Johnson really affect that? But if you notice, 2 of the games, he's had games like this. I feel like last year you didn't see that at all. Do they go back to what was successful last year? They lost to Minnesota. So, I don't know. It's interesting to think. But BMAC was affected by his buys. Judkins, Egbuka, Hurts. So, 3 big key players for him. Alvin Kamara, 0.7. I mean, dude. What is that? I mean, the Rams just got absolutely killed. At that point, you might as well just have 0 points, like crazy. Gadsden, great tight end. He's been putting up big numbers the last 4 weeks. So, good for him to see that he's playing well. It's unfortunate he was really affected by buys, so BMAC did the best he could. So, Great showing, BMAC. I'm sure you'll be a lot better now that you're going to be getting your guys back from buys. Um, oh, it's rough showing from Kamara and Gibbs. That was pretty unfortunate. Very shocking for Gibbs too. I was expecting a lot more, but it happens. And just remember the thought I said. Maybe they should go back to that swap. But we'll see. But overall, um, another under 100-point performance by BMAC, but it's okay. He's still 5-4. He's still doing well. So you keep it going, BMAC. Keep doing what you're doing. And then we're moving on over to Dan's side here. Yep. Fortunately, like the injury to Jaden Daniels, affected by some buys. Bucky and stuff like that. So, um, it was really the Pittman and Bijan. Finally, Bijan, after that horrible performance last week, decides to pop off, which is good. With the most consistent defense, Dan has not used any other defense but the Seahawks, and they're number one. So he believes in them, and it's paying off for him. But overall, nothing really that sticks out. I mean, I guess the thing that really could stick out is Michael Pittman being wide receiver 6. Last year, he was like this 2 years ago as well. But then last year he took a deep down. Like he slid all the way down to like wide receiver 54. So it's great to see that, with the success of the Colts, that he's benefiting from this. 3 straight 20-point games. So, and now it looks like Bucky will be coming back this week. So this should be a big boost to Dan. And his push, and he's in that East Division, so it's a very important push for him. And now Ted McMillan, is it time? Like I said, I was about to say, is it time to bench him? I don't think so. I mean, he is really he's not like a wide receiver 2. He's just a flex. I mean, maybe with the return of Godwin, if Godwin comes back, maybe he'll end up being the flex position. So we'll have to see. But I think McMillan is more of just a flex at this point. But overall, great win, Dan, and best of luck to you guys next week. And last but not least, moving on over to Ant taking on Shane here. Wow, this whole bench had L's. That's crazy. So Shane taking the win here, 111-293. Yeah, Josh Allen goes to show you why he is the reigning MVP. He is absolutely cooking on fire. Kyron had a great showing in his debut for Shane here. 17 fantasy points. It's awesome. This was just a rough game by the Cowboys, so 15 for CD, still pretty good. Yeah, and going back to Indiana, just a rough game for everyone. 2 duds the last 2 weeks, really, for Tyler Warren, but he still set it and forget it. And BTJ, and now the problem with BTJ is you have Jacoby Myers coming in. I mean, at this point, do you bench BTJ? It's truly something to think about, So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. That's definitely going to affect. It could affect or it could help because I'm sure a lot of the defenses are focusing on BTJ right now just because he is their wide receiver 1. But maybe with Jacoby coming in, the latter. Maybe he'll take a bulk of the defense. But he's also hurt too, BTJ's. He says here has a low-grade high ankle sprain, but it says he'll be able to play through it. I don't know if you want to play through an ankle sprain, but we'll see what happens. But overall, it felt like a weak performance, but when you have the MVP, Josh Allen, anything is possible. And moving on over to Ant's side here, Singletary, going on to Tyrone Tracy, I think Singletary had like a majority of the carries too. So you thought that Tyrone Tracy would have been like a priority ad, but he is not performing. It's not the same. Tyrone is not Cam. Um, and people know the show, the Tyrone Tracy show, and it's 7-6. So at this point, is he even startable? You know, but very with Lamar Jackson here, 25, he had a good game. But after that, I mean, Jay Jettas with 16, that was it. 3, 6, 6, 7, 8. It was a really rough performance from Ants guys. Yeah, I mean, he only had AJ Brown on a bye. Uh, so it was just a poor week for Ant, I think. I mean, coming off his win last week. Rough showing. It happens to everyone, man. Olave will bounce back for sure. But, hopefully next week we get a bounce back for Kamani. Overall, great win, Shane. And good luck to you guys next week. All right. So, let's move to week 10. And I want to go. You're going to hate that I say this, but we're going to go to the matchup of the week, which is the first place in the West and first place in the East. So, between Corey and myself, it's the matchup of the week. Two first place teams, looking at here. Only person affected by a bye is myself, with Jake Ferguson, and Corey has Patty Mahomes on a bye, and Pickens. So, pretty big guys for him that are on a bye, but he's got the depth to kind of replace that. Looking at the lineups here, looks like he picked up J.J. McCarthy as his replacement QB, so he'll plug him in. And it looks like he's using Troy Franklin for Thursday against the Raiders as his flex, so we'll see what happens there. He's like a boomer bust kind of guy. And yeah, so if I had to say who I would lean to right now, I think once he plugs him in, it'll probably be 50-50, I'm assuming. So if I had to say it leans toward anyway, I mean, James Cook going against Miami's defense, I mean, he's probably going to absolutely feast. With Terry McLaurin out, Debo becomes wide receiver 1 with Mariota, though. Davis Mills will be starting as Nico, so it's a tough one, but I may have to lean Corey's side on this just because with the backup QBs thrown to these guys, we don't know if Purdy actually is playing. Puka's probably going to be fine. I'm sure Doomsday won't have another donut, so McBride's going to be McBride. So, we hope that these guys don't have a good game. Rico Dowdle against the Saints, he'll feast. So, I may lean Corey's way, but this could be potentially a true 50-50. But if I had to pick one right now, it would be Corey's. But we'll see. It's the battle of the first place teams. And then the next matchup I want to go to. So best of luck, Corey. We'll see what happens here. But the next matchup I want to go to is one that I'm personally interested in the most. Is Nick taking on BMAC here? Nick on that 5-game win streak here. BMAC in that fighting for that top seed in the West side with me. Yeah, this is your 50-50 matchup here for sure. This can go either way. Dart having a fabulous year. Gibbs will definitely have a bounce back game. Judkins coming back, and Buka, so he's got his squad. As for buys, nobody on a buy. So these are the lineups. And like I said, the only thing affecting is the injury to Tucker Kraft. That was a big injury there. So yeah, we will see what happens here. It looks like it's going to come down to a Sunday matchup here. This Packers defense, but it's going to come down, and this is going to be a 50-50. This is going to go either way. I like this matchup a lot, and and whoever wins will definitely deserve it because this is a tough one for sure. Really can't pick a side here. I mean, this is truly 50-50, and I'll just wish both of you the best of luck. All right, we'll move on to the next matchup. We got Tybo taking on Shane here. Shane is Bimageddon. Whew. Tay, CD, Brandon Aubrey, all on a bye. Those are his like top. The Cowboys are on a bye this week. He has been affected by Bimageddon here. So he has to throw in Devontae, Wandale Robinson, BTJ has to play, Travion Henderson, and Xavier Worthy on a bye. I didn't realize that. So yeah, Shane is Bimageddon right now. He's affected. So if he can pull off, the win here with his bench players, which he definitely could. The bench players are solid players. Wandale's wide receiver 1. Devontae's playing better than AJ, and if BTJ just has that breakout game, he can definitely do it. So, yeah, we will see what happens here. And yeah, DeAndre Swift could be hurt, but I think he's gonna probably put in DeAndre for Aaron Jones once he fixes his lineup. But we'll see. We will see. But best of luck, guys. If I had to lean one way, yes, obviously I would lean towards Tybo's side just because of players are on a bye, but you know what? Anything's possible with fantasy. All right, moving on over to the next matchup. We got the sneaky Trayvon 4-5 taking on Vinny, also 4-5. Well, Vinny has his squad back, and unfortunately, right as Trayvon's getting hot, he hits the bye, the Bimageddon. Jamar Chase Ryan, Rashee Rice, all on a bye. So I mean, kind of goes right there. Really, that's pretty much the majority of your offense. So I will lean Vinny's side here for sure. He's got Saquon, McCaffrey, London. Yeah, he's got his guys back. Even Garrett Wilson's making a comeback. Yeah, so I will definitely lean Vinny's side here for the win. So we will see what happens there. But hey, maybe Trey could pull off the upset. And then our final matchup of the week, a must-win for Ant. If Ant loses, he's pretty much going to be out of the running for playoffs. For the most part, I mean 2-8. Yeah, there's no way he'll be able to make playoffs. So Ant is in literally a must-win situation here. So with Bucky coming back, that's a big boost to Dan's team. He has Kelsey and Higgins, Dak, and Bucker on a bye, so a little bit affected by bye week as well. But not too bad. Schultz coming in for Houston. And picked up Jason Myers, Purdy. So, hopefully with Bucky and Bijan, that duo there should cook. But, Ant does get A.J. Brown back, and will we get the boom A.J. Brown or the bust? Because there are games where he's got 20, and there are games this year he's got under 8. So, we will see. Running backs are a little bit of a concern. Tyrone Tracy and Dobbins, but not much you can really do there when Ken Walker's not playing like Ken Walker. So we will see what happens here. This might be, this may come down to, is there any Monday night games? Yeah, A.J. Brown plays Monday night, so it may come down to, A.J. Brown on Monday. So we will see. If I had to lean one way here, I would probably have to go Dan's side here. This was a tough one, to be honest, but I would definitely have to go Dan. But this is a must-win for Ant. If he doesn't win here, it's looking like it's going to be done for him. So, but we will see what happens. So best of luck, guys. Well, everyone, that will definitely do it for this week's episode. Crazy things happened. We are in now double-digit weeks of football. this is the final push. The trade deadline for fantasy is November 26th, so that will be coming up in a couple weeks. So if you want to make any last minute effort to boost your team, now's the chance to do that. But it's been a great year, and this is definitely, I would say, more of a competitive year than last year, just because last year, like I think by now you kind of figured, oh, who were the teams not making it? Once you hit that week 10, week 11, you're like, oh, we know who's making it, we know who's not. This year, no, it is a battle, especially in that East division. I don't think we've ever had a division where every team is still in the running for the top seed in that division. So this is a battle. And with the 24-hour pick, really helped us out, making these tough decisions. So, yeah, it's been a great year so far, and we'll see what happens after this week. Will we have where we may potentially have our first team out of the running of playoffs, but you never know. But all right, guys, thanks again for tuning in, and we will catch you guys tomorrow. Kenny's Corner. Peace.